Faraz wiped the grease from his hands as he stepped into Hangar Bay 7, expecting nothing more than another routine maintenance check on his cargo hauler. What he found instead was a woman standing in the center of his ship bay, her scales shimmering like liquid mercury under the harsh industrial lights. She was tall, nearly 7 feet, with reptilian features that marked her as Drakari, one of the galaxy's most feared warrior species. Her silver scales caught the light in hypnotic patterns, and twin horns curved elegantly from her temples. She wore tattered robes that had once been ornate, now stained and torn. Her golden eyes fixed on him with a mixture of pride and barely concealed fear. "You are human," she said, her voice carrying the melodic resonance typical of her species. Faraz nodded slowly, his hand instinctively moving toward the plasma cutter on his belt. "And you're trespassing." "I am Princess Bella of the Seventh Flame," she announced, though her voice wavered slightly. "I have been abandoned by my escorts. They deemed me unworthy of protection after I refused a political marriage." Faraz raised an eyebrow. He'd heard of Drakari honor codes, rigid, unforgiving, and often brutal. To refuse a duty was to become invisible, a non-person. "So they just left you here? On a human station?" "They believed it would teach me humility," Bella said, her jaw tightening. "Or perhaps they hoped I would perish. Humans are considered primitive by my people." Something about the way she said it, without malice, just stating a fact she'd been taught, made Faraz laugh. It was a sound that echoed through the hangar, surprising them both. "Primitive," he repeated, shaking his head. "Princess, you have no idea where you are, do you?" Bella's scales rippled with confusion, a biological tell that betrayed her emotions. "This is Outpost Station Meridian, a refueling depot. It's more than that." Faraz gestured for her to follow. "Come on, if you're going to be stuck here, you might as well learn what humanity actually is." Over the next few hours, Faraz gave Bella a tour that shattered every preconception she'd held. He showed her the hydroponics bay where humans had engineered crops to grow in zero gravity, producing food in environments that would kill most species. He introduced her to Dr. Chen, who was developing medical nanobots that could repair tissue damage in real time, technology that even the advanced Drakari had never mastered. "But you have no natural armor," Bella protested as they walked through the residential sector. "No claws, no enhanced strength. How do you survive?" Faraz stopped at an observation window overlooking the construction of a new station module. Workers in mechanical exosuits moved massive metal beams with precision, their augmented strength making them stronger than any Drakari warrior. "We build our own armor," Faraz explained. "We enhance ourselves. Your people were born strong. Mine had to become strong. That's the difference." Bella watched in silence as a human child, no more than 10 years old, guided a robotic arm to weld a seam with perfect accuracy. The child's neural interface glowed softly at her temple. "You're young. They work?" Bella asked, horrified. "She's learning," Faraz corrected. "Every human child spends time understanding how our technology works. By the time she's my age, she'll be able to repair a fusion reactor blindfolded." The next stop was the station's central hub, where representatives from dozens of species negotiated, traded, and socialized. Bella's presence drew stares. Drakari rarely ventured into human space, but no one showed fear. Instead, Faraz watched as a small human girl approached Bella, holding up a crude drawing. "I made this for you," the child said shyly. "You're pretty like a dragon." Bella took the drawing with trembling claws, staring at the colorful depiction of herself with stars and hearts surrounding her. Thank you, small one." The girl beamed and ran back to her parents, who nodded respectfully at Bella before continuing on their way. "They're not afraid," Bella whispered, more to herself than Faraz. "Why would they be?" Faraz replied. "You're just a person who needs help." That evening, Faraz brought Bella to the station's memorial garden, a dome filled with bioluminescent plants from Earth, carefully cultivated to survive in space. Holographic plaques honored humans who had died exploring the cosmos, each name accompanied by their story. "We're not the strongest species," Faraz said as they walked among the glowing flowers. "We're not the fastest or the smartest or the most advanced. But we adapt, we endure, and we never ever abandon our own." Bella's scales had gone completely still, a sign of deep contemplation among her kind. "My people would call that weakness, to carry the burden of those who fall behind. And we call it humanity." Faraz turned to face her directly. You were abandoned because you chose your own path. That's not weakness, princess. That's strength. For the first time since he'd found her, Bella's rigid posture softened. What happens to me now? That's up to you, Faraz said. You can contact your people, try to return home, or... He paused, choosing his words carefully. Station Meridian is always looking for people with unique skills. Drekari engineering principles are legendary. We could learn from each other. Bella looked around the garden at the memorial to human persistence, at the station visible through the dome's transparent ceiling, where dozens of species lived and worked together. Then she looked at Faraz, a simple mechanic who had shown her more respect in one day than her own royal court had shown in years. Teach me, she said finally. Teach me what it means to be part of something larger than honor and tradition. Faraz grinned. Welcome to humanity, princess. First lesson, we don't call anyone princess here. You're just Bella now. Bella's scales shimmered with what Faraz had learned was amusement. Just Bella, she repeated, testing the sound. I think I like that. As they walked back toward the hangar, Faraz couldn't help but think that the aliens who had abandoned Bella had done humanity a favor. They'd given them a chance to prove what they'd been telling the galaxy for years, that humanity's strength wasn't in their bodies or their technology, but in their refusal to leave anyone behind. And that, Faraz thought, was a lesson worth teaching.